Sheriff Clarke is a frequent guest commentator for national news organizations and associations as an expert on law enforcement, the Second Amendment, and Homeland Security issues, including CNN, Fox News, Glenn Beck, The Washington Times, The Washington Post, National Public Radio, Politico.com, the National Rifle Association, the Conservative Political Action Conference, and the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. In 2015, he received the Charlton Heston Courage Under Fire Award from the Conservative Political Action Conference. CPAC only presents this award in years when it deems it is merited to an individual who, quote, stands up for their principles, even when doing so puts them at risk physically, politically, or economically, end quote. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to our good friend, Sheriff David A. Clarke, Jr.
People ask me all the time, "You're from Texas?" And I tell them no, but I'm going to get there as fast as I can. Don't mess with Texas. The reason I brought this was a gift, by the way, from Sue. The reason I brought this up here because I noticed that she also has her Green Bay Packer mug, but I know she wants this one more, so I figured if I left the table, probably. By the way, today's my first radio podcast, the Blaze Radio Network. Get a chance to be posted. I think they said around 12:30 Eastern. Go check it out. David Clarke, the People's Sheriff on the Blaze Network. I'll go and take my message anywhere where I can amplify it and get it out, even though I'm labeled, as this Fox News favorite. As a matter of fact, one individual tweeted, my Twitter handle's @Sheriff Clarke. You want to follow me? And he tweeted that I must be Roger Ailes' illegitimate son. I Fox News so much. Roger Ailes is the creator of Fox News. And so I use those platforms to defend this profession. The reason why I felt the need to defend this profession, because as you know, ladies and gentlemen, we are the firewall between you good law-abiding citizens, freedom-loving citizens, and disorder, and chaos, and mayhem, and crime. And I remind people, not us, then who? Who's going to do it? The rule of law cannot exist without somebody to defend it. It's not just the courts, but somebody's got to be on the front line, and that's us. We know we have the overwhelming support of the people in our community. We need the support of the political class. Right now, they've thrown us overboard. But they're the first ones at election time come running to these law enforcement fraternities and organizations and unions looking for our support, because they know when you run for political office, you want that on your resume. I'm supported by this police union, this fire union, public safety. They know they gotta have it. So for political expediency, they want it, but now they saw an opportunity to score some cheap political points at our expense, and they took advantage of it. So that's kind of what propelled me into this demand, so to speak, to come out, to talk, to support issues. There are a lot of issues out there, nationally, locally, and I'm very particular about what I get behind. So when I was approached by Doug and Sue in Nashville at the NRA, I was a speaker there, and I found it kind of interesting, right, at the NRA, the gun show and the convention floor and whatnot, and all of a sudden, Sue spots me and comes over and says, "Hey, could you stop tomorrow at our booth in the exhibit hall. And initially I thought it was a gun booth, right? Gun manufacturer, gun supplier, gun something. And she explained that it was a knife exhibit. And she started to talk to me about her organization, Knife Rights. And to be honest with you, I never thought about that. Knife rights. I thought, well, that's kind of peculiar, right? Most people carry a knife. I carry it as a utility tool. You know where I got this? Well, this particular knife came from Doug. He gave it to me for stopping by that day. I thank you, man. Thank you again. But I have several knives. When you're in law enforcement, it kind of comes from that. You gotta have a knife. It's a tool. And it's a versatile tool, and it goes back to the beginning of time. Right? An edge tool. You all know this. And that's what it got me to thinking about this tool. And it took me back to the time when I was a little boy. My father always had a pocket knife on. And he used it a lot when he needed it, right? Cut this, do that. And I never thought about it much at the time, but he always had to this day, he's still with me, by the way, 84 years old, had a birthday last week. And still, he'll reach in his pocket to pull something, he's looking for coins or something, and he always carries a pocket knife. It probably goes back to his days in the military. He was in the Army, he was an airborne ranger, several combat jumps under fire in Korea. And he participated, he was a sportsman, did parachuting after he got out of the service as a sport, belonged to several parachute clubs. One of the things that he had on his reserve chute was a knife, a switchblade. And I thought that was the coolest thing. Press this button and chung, blade comes out. But the reason why he had that, because you learn every once in a while, you jump out of a plane, you may end up in a tree, you might have to cut yourself out, cut yourself from the lines get tangled, and sometimes coming down. You get tangled up in that chute coming down. You want to get to that reserve, but you don't want to get that, you don't want that reserve chute to get caught in, then you got to start cutting lines. See, so it was a life-saving device for him. And that's why when Sue approached me, I started thinking about the knife again. I've been doing this for 37 years. But the whole concept of knife rights was new to me. I thought, rights? I didn't realize the amount of laws governing a knife. I mean, even as a cop, you know we have some, right? Some of these come under carrying concealed weapons. You can only have a knife with so long of a blade, and you can't have a spring-loaded and a switchblade and a stiletto. And I realized some of that, but as I'm talking to Doug and I'm looking at some of these states and some of the stuff that's going on, I said, this is crazy. It's a tool. We don't have this kind of regulation for a hammer. It's a tool. Right? You can do a lot of damage with a hammer. If I came here with a hammer, it happened in New York, right? Start swinging it around, it causes a lot of damage. We don't regulate hammers. Why? Because it's a tool. If used improperly, of course it can do damage. So can an automobile. So can a baseball bat. So can a wrench. So can a screwdriver. We could stab you with a screwdriver. Why don't we start to limit, I'm being facetious, the length that you should be able to walk around in your tool belt or your tool case with a screwdriver? Because it's insane to even think about that. When we've been conditioned over time, as you know, and I realize I'm preaching to the choir here today, but I'm starting to think more and more about this knife rights thing. And we've been conditioned over time with no resistance that the knife became bad. The knife became a weapon. Anything's a weapon. I could throw this cup right now. I wouldn't, don't worry about it. This is going back. Yeah, you'll catch it. But, you know, this is kind of where we're at today in the United States of America. With this overreaching government, these overbearing laws, these onerous laws, the number of them. You gotta measure the blade on your knife so that you're in compliance with the thousands of laws, and they differ from state to state, as was mentioned. Who the hell's supposed to keep up with that? And so you have well-intentioned people, and we're facing, and you're facing, and we're facing several of the same things with the firearm, right? You go from state to state, these different laws, and who can do this, and when, and where, and why, and which is why that bill moving through the Congress right now on reciprocity. You need to do that with the knife as well. I know you're working on it, but that's important because when I leave the state of Wisconsin and I came to the state of Georgia, I don't want to have to look up the knife laws. I don't really care what the knife laws are. The same with a firearm. If I'm legal to carry a firearm in the state of Wisconsin, I should be legal to carry the firearm in the other 49 states. And I would ask you this, what other constitutional right ends at the state line? Does the First Amendment end at the state line? I guess, you know, in some quarters you could argue that it does, with the way this culture war is moving today, and sanitizing the language, what you can and can't say. But when I go to the state of Illinois, which is a border state to Wisconsin, I don't have to check to see what the First Amendment laws are, right? And if I get in trouble in the state of Illinois, or if I get in trouble here in the state of Georgia, but I still have Fifth Amendment protection here in the state of Georgia. And if a cop in the state of Georgia wants to search me or my bags, I still have Fourth Amendment protection in the state of Georgia. But all of a sudden we get to the Second Amendment and it's all over the place. It's the same with knife rights. It's a convoluted mess. It really is. So here's what I would advise you to do. It's just, remember I said advice, I didn't say here's what I tell you. I try not to tell people much. I just give them advice, information, my opinion, whatever. You process it any way you want, do it, throw it away if you want. It's not for sale, it's free. Not gonna hurt my feelings. But the fact that you're organized is important because you're not gonna get any movement on any of this stuff because we've been conditioned so long about the knife. You're gonna have to do it state by state like you are, and then you're gonna have to get some federal action too. You gotta be patient. It's going to take time. You know that. It's going to cost money. You know that. You gotta grow this organization. The reason why you have to grow this organization, as was mentioned earlier, the political class is not going to pay attention to you if they don't believe you have an advocacy and if they don't believe that your advocacy is organized or strong. They're not going to pay attention to you. Doug has probably found that out in the early days of his 2006, was it? First thing, they won't say this to your face, but a legislator, Congress, State House, locally, what kind of support's out there for this? And if it's just some small, you know, they're not going to pay attention to you. They'll pay you lip service. Yeah, that's very important, and we'll see what we can do. And that's going to be the end of it. Somehow you got to grow this organization, and that's going to take time, and that's going to take money. You folks know that. You're here. But you gotta ask yourself, how can I help Doug and Sue and everybody else grow this organization to great numbers? Because politicians listen to organized efforts because they know it can be detrimental to their careers if they don't, okay? But the other reason that I took an interest in this whole knife rights movement, because really this is an issue about freedom. And that's the thing that means more to me than anything in the world. The reason it means more to me as an individual, because when the Constitution was drawn up, my people weren't included. So once we gained our freedom, the 13th and 14th Amendment, I'm very guarded about it. I saw through my ancestors and through my history what government tyranny looks like. Don't forget, slavery was an institution in the United States. I saw what government tyranny looks like, and it ain't pretty. So issues of freedom and liberty, I guard a little more closely. And that's why the Second Amendment to me personally means so much. It's a check on government tyranny. And when we start to let the government infringe on those rights, any of them, we are in trouble. You have the chance to become enslaved by your own government. And it happens slowly. Because if you go back to the beginning of this country, the knife was part of daily life for a lot of things, right? And we were conditioned over time it was a bad thing. It happens slowly. We don't even notice it. Like when I heard knife rights, I said, what are you talking about? A lot of people carry it. What's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal, I'm finding out. So use those key words when you're discussing your issue. And I heard it a little bit today from both Doug and Sue. You know, liberty, freedom, self-rule, to be able to make these decisions for ourselves. What difference does it make what size the blade is? It doesn't. 3.5, 4 inches. It just doesn't make any difference. And so your work is going to be tedious. Some days you're going to feel like you're trying to roller skate backwards up a mountain. You're going to get discouraged. You're going to suffer defeats. But persevere. All right, overcome those obstacles. Because there's nobody else out there doing what you're doing on behalf of the American people. Who maybe don't appreciate it today, maybe not know about it today, but you're the only or one of the few groups that are doing it. And it isn't, for me, it's not about the knife. It's about freedom. It's about liberty. It's about self-rule. It's about keeping the government at bay in terms of telling us how to live our lives. We'll organize ourselves. I think we do a pretty good job with it. I don't know, Sue said I get about 15, 20, 25 minutes. I probably have used that up, and that's okay. But one of the things I think Sue will learn, and Doug probably have already, when you put a microphone in front of an elected official and give them a time requirement, we just take that as a suggestion. About 15 minutes. I could talk all morning on this stuff. But I want to thank you for being involved. I want to thank you for your courage. I want to thank you for your will to fight on behalf of freedom-loving people, to fight on behalf of we the people, but to continue that fight, and I'll do what I can. I know there's some legislation moving through Wisconsin. The time is right. We have a favorable legislature right now and the State House. If you want to get this stuff, timing's everything in politics. Timing is everything. Strike while the iron's hot. Wisconsin is ripe for some of the changes that you're looking to do. And yeah, it takes time. Yeah, the sausage making. I had to laugh when somebody mentioned sausage making and you don't want to know what's in it. And I said, that sounded like Nancy Pelosi describing Obamacare. Yeah, she was saying, we don't want to know what's in it. We got to pass it before we know what's in it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here today. Thanks for being here this morning. Thanks for your patience, your kindness. Everybody's been great. Hospitality has been wonderful. God bless you, and just keep fighting, okay? Thank you.
Sheriff Clarke, it's a real honor for you to come here and talk to us. We are so proud of what you say on our behalf to an audience that doesn't always listen. We have a few parting gifts for you, courtesy of our friends at K-Bar. A presentation K-Bar knife. Knife writes the second front in the defense of the Second Amendment. And on the reverse, Sheriff David A. Clarke Jr. with our appreciation, June 6, 2015.
Wow.
But that's not all. But wait, there's more. So, our friends at Benchmade also wanted to help honor your attendance. This is a little tricky. Because technically, this isn't legal in your state, even for you to have.
Want to bet?
Yeah. So it says, Knife Rights Essential Tools and Essential Rights, with our appreciation. Your own switchblade. Thank you, and we're looking forward to showing you our passion on the floor.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here.
One last quick story. Knives, right? I come through airports and I travel armed with a firearm. You have to declare, you got to fill out like anything with the government, right? Forms and this, and you got to. I get to a LA airport, LAX, and I get to the place where law enforcement comes in to declare the firearm. You fill out the form and then you check the box, you know, what kind of weapon are you carrying, and I check firearm and knife. And the TSA agent says, oh, wait a minute, we got a problem. You're carrying a knife? You know, I said, yeah, and a firearm. She says, you cannot take a knife on the airplane. First time I've been stopped doing that, check right. And I said, what are you talking about? Only the Customs and Border Patrol can take a knife on an airplane. And I said, what the hell is that? That means a federal agent can't. That means a service person cannot take a knife on an airplane. But I said to the TSA agent, I said, I know you don't make the rules. I don't give the people carrying it out a problem. I said, I'm more of a threat with the gun than the damn knife. And if you want anything, you should want me to take the knife on the plane and leave the gun in a suitcase. And you know, I was being nice, but I said, this is insane. So I could take the gun, but I gotta throw the knife away. Yeah, but this is the kind of stuff that goes on, and so, yeah, I'll have to pack these to get them back. At least the big one. I came on with this, but the big one, I don't think it was. But anyway, that's why we got to straighten some of this stuff out. Thanks again.
Thanks, great.
Thank you very much.